Stop yelling at me, Keith.
Erik, how much good on good will you do where your starting offense might run some Illinois just so you get like a better look at speed?
Yeah, I think speed's important. If we can work together, which that's our plan for right now, we can get some of those periods where, a lot of people in college football have some carryover on offense and some carry on defense, whether that's coverage or front, and maybe a few run plays or pass plays. So a speed period is going to be really good, and then obviously as we get closer, we're going to have to move more towards scout period type things, but we will continue to have some good on good speed periods.
When will you go into scouts to get?
I think right now the plan is we're going to, stay with some good on good and then try to help each other out by the correct script so we can get some looks at some of the Illinois stuff on both sides of the football. And then probably, definitely next week, probably the end of this week is when you'll get true scouts looks, yeah.
How's that? You've got sort of a top three at inside linebacker, but how do you like the depth after those guys? And who might round out that rotation, or what have you seen from the young guys trying to?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, the decisions that are going to have to be made this week. I think right now 4 guys at the top are playing really well. Nick, Luke, Chris, Garrett Snodgrass. And then in that next few guys, you've got, Jackson Hanna, Baugh, and Grant Taggy. And to me, a little bit of that's going to be determined by special teams. Some of those guys might have to be the next guy up, even if they're neck and neck, just because purely they're on special teams, they're on the bus. We need to get them reps. So I think that next 3 is going to shake out here in this week, and it's going to be determined a lot by special teams.
Snodgrass got his feet wet a little bit last year, but what sort of jump is he, or where have you seen his game, progress this offseason?
Yeah, so Garrett's a really, really smart football player. He's got a lot of length. I think his transitions have been a lot better. I think his twitch has gotten a lot better, and just his anticipation of where he has to be and where he needs to go, that's all gotten a lot better with him. He's continued to raise his level of play, since the first day we got here.
How has the competition at corner developed through this month?
Yeah, I mean, that's another one that's still going right now. A lot of guys at the top, Quentin Newsom, Tyreek Johnson, Braxton Clark, and you're seeing a couple young guys really come on too. Marquise Buford's done some nice things, and so has Malik Williams over the last week. So that position's got to shake out a little bit for us as well. They're all kind of those top 3: Braxton, Tyreek, Quentin. They're all getting reps to the ones right now. So that's a good competition.
Do you think Tyreek would? I mean, I know he, of course, had talent. Do you think that his first weeks in the program would go as smoothly as they have?
I guess yes and no. You never know with a new guy, but you got a guy that came from a program that's a well-run program that's had success, so you knew that he was going to be used to the day in and day out. He was going to be used to practicing the right way. So that part of it you thought would be smooth. It was just learning the new language and getting along with the guys, but he's done a really good job with that so far.
What are you looking for those guys to separate themselves over this next week or so?
At the corner position, yeah, I think to me it's they're all playing well right now. Somebody's just got to go take it. Somebody's got to find a way to get their hands on some balls. Somebody's got to show up and let us know that they're ready to tackle. And then once again, who can be on special teams a little bit, because those guys are all going to have to help us.
How's your pass rush been so far in camp? Maybe like Caleb Tanner and Feldarius Payne around there?
Yeah, I think it's. We all know, we got to create some more pressure on the quarterback. The pass rush in camp so far has been much improved. Is it where we want it to be? No. We still got a ways to go, but it's been much improved from last year's. Same group, but much improved from this group to last group just by their growing within themselves.
Caleb's the guy that came in, everybody kind of knew he was going to have to put on weight and all that stuff. But he played as a true freshman. How have you seen him develop to where he came in as to this point?
Yeah, he's probably still got to put on a little weight, but he's figuring out his body. He's figuring out his position. He knows what he can and can't do. When you come in as a highly rated kid out of high school, you got to kind of figure out what you can get away with in college and what you can't get away with. He could get away with about anything you wanted. Now it's, you're not as big as some of those guys, but you got speed on your side, so how can you use that to your advantage? And I think he's kind of figuring that out. as he goes.
We saw Jordan Riley some highlights, blowing up a few plays. Looks different, definitely, when he was up here last week. What do you I know Coach Tuioti mentioned him as a nose guy, but does he also go out and play on the edge, or what do you see from him?
Yeah, he's played nose for us. He's also played some 4-eye, and then when we're in the 4-down stuff, he's played shade and 3 technique. Like you said, he's done a great job developing his body. He's much leaner, twitchier with him as well. He's got great length. You guys have seen him in person, you know that. But I think the biggest thing for him is he's much more comfortable in knowing what his job is in each defense and knowing what he has to do before he lines up. There's not a lot of thinking going on anymore, and he's able to just play ball, and that's helped him out a ton.
What's your viewpoint on the offense, the running game, the way that's come together?
Of our offense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I like what they're doing. I'm not going to give out a bunch of scheme stuff and all that kind of thing, but I like what they're doing. They're doing a good job of running that ball downhill. Those guys are tight ends, offensive line, physical up front. Those backs are running the ball really hard. They've got some nice install pieces that they haven't had maybe previously that I really like, and I like how the passing game's kind of built off some of those run actions. So I really like what they're doing right now.
As a former offensive lineman yourself, have you noticed those guys getting bigger and more depth over the last few years?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's team-wide, that's globally, but you talk about the offense and the defensive line, you've seen those body types really change, a lot more length, and with a lot more length, Zach Duvall's had a chance to add on the bulk that we want with those guys, and they're maintaining athleticism, becoming stronger, but yet becoming bigger, which is a great sign for the strength and conditioning program.
I'm sure you'd love to have both, but if you could have just one, would you rather have a really good pass rusher or a lockdown corner? I asked a couple guys in the NFL about this, and they have both said corner, because we can scheme the pressures, but we can't scheme the lockdown corner.
Yeah, I was going to say this, the same thing. If we know we got a lockdown guy, we can bring extra rushers in past situations. So I think, as you're going out to recruit people, those are like the 1 and 2, 1A, 1B. You got to find some of these corners, and then you got to find somebody that can go rush the passer. In the NFL, it's a little bit of a different game. The quarterback's not running the football. The back's not getting out. They're not putting 5 out all the time in the passing game. So those pass rushers and those corners really get to affect the game a lot. They do at this level too. When you got a great corner, you don't have to worry about him. You can double somebody else on 3rd down. You can send extra rushers. There's a lot of things you can do with a lockdown corner. Now in the college game, if you have a war daddy off the edge too, that changes things a little bit too, and you can dictate protections and those types of things a little bit. So I think those are kind of 1A and 1B, probably lockdown corners 1A, pass rushers 1B.
Do you feel like Cam has reached that echelon of a player at the collegiate level?
Yeah. Do I think Cam has parts of his game that he can work on? Absolutely. Do I think that he's done a nice job of putting himself into a position to be one of the top corners in the country? Absolutely. So he just got to keep up in the ante, and he can do whatever he wants. The potential's unlimited there, but Cam's a tremendous football player.
Where has Ty Robinson progressed the most?
I think when you watch Ty last year, and this is me watching film, maybe not you guys watching the football game, you guys saw a lot of good things that he did. I just saw a lot of mistakes as a young guy. And a lot of times where nobody else in the stadium would know that maybe a run got popped because, a young guy made a mistake. He's done a really good job this camp of gap integrity, doing his job, knowing when to take a shot, knowing when he has to go play a block and he can't get knocked out. So he's just, the mental side of his game, I think, has grown a lot since we stopped the season last year to beginning the season this year.
That kind of shows that you have pretty high expectations, even relative to other players because of maybe what his ceiling is.
Yeah, his physical ability and his size, there's no question that he belongs in the conversation with a lot of those, great 3 techniques in college football in the league. It's just, can he play as well as some of those other guys do? Because in this football league, in the Big Ten especially, even those defensive linemen, they have a great understanding of scheme and what they need to get done. You just don't see a lot of D linemen going, cowboy, going rodeo out there and just doing whatever they want. Everybody's coached those guys up pretty well in this league, and that's the part of his game where if he can get dialed in, he's got all the physical ability in the world.
Thank you.